to Veganized Wednesday. This week we are going to make a lentil loaf, and on the side we're just going to make some smashed potatoes. For the ingredients for the lentil loaf, you are going to need a half a cup of carrots, which is actually this guy right here, and then we have another 1/4 cup right there. The recipe I was looking at calls for celery. We don't have any celery, so I'm just going to use a, 3/4 cup of carrots, half a cup of mushrooms. We've got 2 cloves of garlic minced here. We have 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. We have a teaspoon and a half or so of Italian seasoning, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. We have 3/4 cup breadcrumbs, 3/4 cup oats, and 3/4 of a cup of lentils dried. We're going to cook those first, but 3/4 cup dried. They're going to end up to be about 2 cups after they're cooked. And then we're going to make a glaze for the top of the lentil loaf, and we're going to use a half a cup of ketchup, a teaspoon of Dijon mustard, a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, and a teaspoon of brown sugar. Actually 2 teaspoons of brown sugar. We'll probably use 1 teaspoon. We don't have a sweet tooth really, and we're already using extra carrots, so yeah, we'll use 1 teaspoon of brown sugar. So let's get started. I started by cooking the lentils, so I added the 3/4 of a cup, and then I add a little more than twice as much water as lentils. Then we're going to add some oil to a pan and add in all our vegetables and get them nice and soft and cooked. The lentils take a little bit longer to cook, so we're going to work on our glaze. I'll add the 1/4 cup of ketchup, and I didn't measure anything on this, I just sort of estimated. So a 1/4 cup of ketchup, a teaspoon of Dijon mustard, a teaspoon of brown sugar, and a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. Once the lentils are done cooking, you're going to add a little over half of them to a food processor. You're going to add half of your oats, your soy sauce, your tomato paste, and your seasonings, and you're just going to blend that until it is a nice pasty consistency. Then you're going to add the rest of your oats and the rest of your lentils and mix that all together well. This is also the point where you would add your vegetables, which I completely forgot about. So add them now, and then also add your breadcrumbs and mix everything together. I thought it was a little dry, so I added some water. At this point, I realized I had completely forgotten the vegetables, so I added them and mixed it until they were well combined. We decided we were going to cook ours on the barbecue outside, so we just put everything on a piece of tin foil and formed it into a loaf. And then after the fact, I added a little bit of oil because I was worried that it was going to stick to the tin foil. Then we put half of the glaze on and I sealed it up. I probably should have left it a little bit open so that it could release some of the liquid, because I think it might have steamed a little bit. And then we just slid it on our barbecue. We let that cook for 30 minutes, so meanwhile I started making some smashed potatoes. I basically just added some potatoes to some water, got it to a boil, and let them boil until they were nice and soft, and then I drained out most of the water. And this is the important part. You leave some of the water in so that you can mash them up. It just gives it that creamy texture without having to add any butter or milk or anything like that. Then I added a couple tablespoons of nutritional yeast to give it that cheesy flavor, mixed it all up, and the potatoes were done. After 30 minutes of the meatloaf on the barbecue, I opened it up, added the rest of the glaze, and let it cook for another 15 minutes. It did stick to the foil just a little bit. And here it is all done. So it crisped up nicely once I opened the foil. Like I said before, I probably should have left the foil open just a little bit so that it wouldn't steam so much inside there, but it ended up being delicious. We served it with the mashed potatoes and some corn.